Hey everybody, Z Garcia here. Today we're going to be inviting some interesting folks over for a meal in Surrealist Dinner Party. In this game, you are going to be inviting guests over to dinner by playing their cards to the table in front of you. You are going to be collecting various drinks and food tokens on them, and then you will send them home after they are satisfied and collecting those tokens that were sitting on the card. You're trying to have the most tokens at the end of the game. You do so, you win the entire thing. So let's go ahead and take a look at how this works, what it looks like, and I'll see you on the other side. To set up the game, we've shuffled up the deck of characters that you are inviting to dinner. We give everybody 6, and then we can put the rest of these aside for now. We'll take a look at a game with 3. So you are going to be going through various courses over here. So the menu for 3 players says cocktails, hors d'oeuvres, aperitifs, all that, and it goes down to dessert down here at the bottom. And so these basically represent the rounds. So we'll set up the first one, which we did, cocktails, and we put that many, as it lists here, 4 of the wine tokens in the platter. This is a little metal plate there, serving platter. And then we are ready to begin. So what you're trying to do is have the most tokens in your stash when the game is over. And we're playing normal mode. If you play the advanced mode, you would be drafting these cards until you have 6, and we would be using these little cards over here, the faux pas cards, for extra scoring opportunities, okay? We might take a look at that later, but possibly not. All right, so on your turn, you're going to be doing one of a few different actions. So the first one you can do is you can welcome a new guest to the table. It has to be your first action in the game. So you're going to pick one of the characters you have, and you are going to seat them at the table in front of you. You can have up to 3. When you seat someone, they have to go next to the other one on this side or on this one. And if you have 2 and you're adding a third one, then they can go on either side or even in between. You get to decide how you want to do that, okay? So you can arrange these however you want to. You can also, that same action, you could send someone home, okay? You could send somebody away. You can do both. You can send someone away and seat a new person. That's the same action. When you do that, you're going to take all the tokens sitting on their card that match, and you are going to bank those into your stash, and then you are going to send that person away. So second option is you can send a compliment or start drama, all right? So I'm going to switch one of these out here. When you send a compliment, or give a compliment rather, you pick a character, and then you pick a neighboring character. So if I pick this one, then the neighbor could be this one right here, and they would each get a compliment token. If they have a spot to place them, they put it on there. If they do not, they have to then fill something out. Like if I picked these 2 for some reason, then I have to put one of these tokens face down somewhere on here to block that space. Here's the thing. When you do that action, the cards on the outside wrap around the table. So if this player's got a couple of cards out here, like that, and this player has a couple of cards, like so, let's say this is what it looks like, okay? Then if I choose this one and I say, okay, I'm going to give a compliment that way, I get a compliment. You don't have room for a compliment, so you get a dead token that blocks something on yours. That's how that works. Starting drama works the same exact way, and it's for these black tokens here. So that player could do the same thing back to me. Say, okay, I'm going to start drama. I get one of these tokens, and you have to take one of these, which I, myself, will then decide where that goes. All right? Next, you can serve a guest. Serving a guest is very simple. You take a token from the center, and you give it to one of your guests somewhere that fits. All right? And then lastly, you can use your plate abilities on your characters. Plate abilities are down here at the bottom of the characters, and they have some sort of writing. You can do this once per course, meaning what I like to do is if I trigger them, you can do any or all of them in any order you want to, then I just slide them down slightly, and when this course is empty, we prepare the next course by loading the tray with the new tokens, then I just slide them back up to let me know, hey, I'm ready to do the plate abilities again. Now, some of the characters have just innate abilities, and some of them have these that are next to a little door, and that happens when they leave. So when you send them away, all right? So that's it. That's how the game works. On your turn, you are going to add someone to the table and or send someone away. You can serve them, you can give compliments or start drama with a neighboring guest, or you can use the plate abilities, all right? So some of the things that you are going to find on these. This plate ability right here says, send 2 tokens from the platter to Sage. This is Sage. So if I use this plate ability, I can take 2 tokens from the platter and put them on Sage, and that's it. Some of these are, again, when they leave. So this one, for example, says when they leave, if your stash has the most compliments or drama, the kitchen sends 3 food to your stash. And these are the food with the little lobster symbol right there. All right, so I take an action, they take an action, and so on around the table. Eventually, all of these are gone, and then we load up the next course, which is, in this case, would be 6 food, is the hors d'oeuvres. We load that up, and then we keep going. Everybody now can do their plate abilities again, and so on. That is going to run out, then we do the aperitifs, and we put out 4 new tokens out there, and so on. Dessert are going to show up, or the sweets, I guess, are going to show up only in the last 2 courses there. So these spots are going to be a little bit trickier to fill. And then, of course, there are some powers that you can keep around. If you don't want to send the person home, you can keep them around. Once the game is over, meaning the final course, the dessert here, has been emptied from the table, then anything you still have, you bank. And then at that point, every one of these tokens in your stash, in your bank there, is going to be worth a point. Whoever has the most points is the winner in the game. So that's basically how that works. You do have, like I said, 6 cards at the beginning, so you have to figure out how you want to play these and when you want to send someone home, you know, how you want to tackle that. But that's pretty much the game. One final thing I want to point out is, if you ever send someone home and they are completely content, meaning all of the tokens match, then you are going to get 2 bonus tokens of any kind you want to from the kitchen, which is the supply here, to your stash. And don't forget, that means they're all matching and they're all face up. Anything that didn't match, that would be face down when you collect someone, those you don't get. So if it looks like this, and I send this person home, I'm going to get this one and this one. I'm going to get this one. And this didn't match that spot, so it goes away, and then this card is gone. All right? So there you go. That's how the game works. The faux pas cards are very simple, and they basically say they have 2 kinds of triggers. Either end-of-game triggers, like most compliments gets this. It's worth 4 tokens in your stash. This one, most food, it's worth 4 tokens in your stash. And then the other kind are the ones that trigger in-game, like this one. The first person to have 4 wine tokens in their stash, they get this. And this is worth 2. The first person to have 4 or more desserts in their stash, they get that, and that's worth 2. So very simple concept here, but that's how they work. And that should be enough for you to understand how the game plays. That is Surrealist Dinner Party. And this is an interesting game. You know, it's one that's kind of hard to put my finger on what I liked and didn't like about it. And it sort of ends up somewhere in the middle for me. Overall, I think it's a neat game, and I think if it's something that catches your eye, if you really love something this quirky, if you love the theme, if a lot of these artists you are familiar with, then I think this is one I would certainly recommend. Okay, I'll just say that right now. If one of those things is true for you, you have a hook to this, above and beyond just gameplay, then grab it. I think you'll be very happy, okay? Now, let me break it down as to what I thought about all the individual parts of the game. So the theme and the setting, it's strange, it's clever, I think it's great. I love the surreal nature of it, bringing all these people together to a dinner party, of them starting drama or passing compliments to one another, grabbing the food and drink offered. I like all of that. I think it's a really neat, clever theme. The aesthetics, for the most part, are very nice. Now, these large cards do have a tendency to get dinged up and kind of beat up a little bit. A lot of these are showing some damage. But everything else I do enjoy. I think the platter here is kind of ridiculous, but it's neat. The tokens, the wooden tokens, are very nice. They include a few things that are a nice touch, such as this booklet right here, giving you a breakdown of the different artists and writers that are included in the game. That's lovely. And generally, the components are very well done. I do wish the box was just a little bit bigger because it's actually kind of tricky to get everything back in, and I don't want to throw out the insert. This is what the insert looks like. As you can see, it sort of eats away quite a bit of the space in order to hold the cards, the large cards in the center. But then everything else has to be piled in here, including the bag filled with wooden tokens. It's hard to get everything to fit in the box. So it's a little on the small side. Replay value. Well, I like that they give you something extra. You can play the expert level, and I would do that for most people that are, if you're familiar with the game at all, you've played once, I would say, then you want to do that, okay? Because you get to draft the cards, and you want to do that to kind of look for combos, and then the faux pas cards are in play. The problem is, for me, the replay value, the faux pas cards, I wish were more interesting, I guess. There's only 2 different kinds of things, like I showed you, and they just run the gamut through all the different token types, At the end of the game, you have the most wine, 4. You have the most food, 4. You have the most of desserts, 4. And then during the game, you're the first person to have 4 compliments, 2. The first one to have 4 whatever, 2. That's it. There's no... I wish there was more variety in these wackier stuff, something more out there. As it is right now, they're a little flat, okay? And that's something that I think I'll come back to, that the gameplay itself feels a little flat. It feels a little languid. I wish it was a little snappier. There were more interesting sort of big moves to make in the game, and they're just kind of not really there, all right? I also don't think the game scales down very well. In fact, my first play was with 2 players, and I would not recommend it. I do not think this is a good 2-player game. I wouldn't have included that player count, because it's just, you're missing so much when you're playing with only 2. It's a bad first impression. I would avoid that. Okay, game arc. The pace and the ultimate goal seem a little slow, like I said, okay? There's not enough going on for a 45-minute game, but it's also a little long for a filler. So it sort of lives in between those 2 spaces where the game isn't giving you enough to think about and consider and come up with and discover to fill that time. But it also, if you want to just throw down something quick and cute and interesting, it also kind of outstays its welcome a little bit because it's a little long. So it's sort of in between those 2. That's kind of how I find it to be. Also, I'll point out the game can be mean with both sending, again, those compliments and drama to the players next to you and blocking their spots. But also, there's a few of the powers that are pretty mean, okay? So be aware of that. If you want something where no one messes with you and you get to do your own thing, this is one that might not let you do that, because there's going to be that interaction, and sometimes it is negative interaction. Ease of play. Very smooth, very easy. I love the rulebook is well laid out. They have this breakdown where they show you here the 4 different things you can do and then send you to the corresponding page. That's very nice. But then also this right here. The little menu is a really thick cardboard. This is good. This kind of feels like what the cards are made out of, actually. And they've got the menus for the different player counts on the one side. And then on the other side, they break down the 4 main actions a player can take on their turn. This is lovely. I really think this is a nice touch. So good there. Lastly, tactics, luck, strategy. It's okay. A few interesting combos are possible. Unfortunately, the main issue I have with the game, besides the fact that, again, it's a little long for how much it's offering and kind of the pace at which you're moving, is that not a lot of these powers feel very exciting. Some are neat, some are very clever and interesting, and you can see yourself sort of building combos around those. But many of them just kind of feel procedural. It's like if when you take a token, send a token to a neighbor. Okay, switch a token between two of your guests. Fine. I mean, that's not exciting. It doesn't feel splashy enough. It doesn't feel that engaging. It's not that clever, that interesting. It's sort of, these powers very easily suggest themselves. For the most part, again. And I think the faux pas goes hand in hand with that, to then not really bring something that's going to stand the test of repeat plays, is what I'm saying, okay? So I think procedural is a good way to put it. The game kind of tends to feel that way with you grabbing a token, goes around, okay, and now I'm going to trigger this plate ability that gets me 2 more tokens, and it goes around. Okay, I'm going to send this person home, and when they leave, I get 2 tokens from the kitchen, and I bring this one in. So, not a lot of moments where you go, ooh, clever stuff. So, overall, I don't dislike it. I enjoyed my plays of it, except that 2-player game really was flat. I don't dislike this one, and again, I would recommend it for people that love the theme. You want something that's different, you know, and thematically. This is one that will do that. But if you want something that feels different mechanically, this isn't going to do that for you. If you are concerned about packing as much gameplay into a tight time frame, this isn't going to do that for you. And if you're just looking for clever, new, innovative powers, also not something you're going to find here. But this almost, you know, I considered, I was sort of swinging back and forth between a 7 and an 8 for me. And so I'm going to settle right in the middle. This is going to get a 6.5 from me. I have a few reservations about the game overall, but I could see myself recommending it, you know, especially, like I said, if you have an attachment to the theme or something about this game speaks to you, then yes, get it. I think you're going to enjoy it. Just don't expect it to set your world on fire, all right? So there you go. Surrealist Dinner Party, a neat little game, 6.5 out of 10. And that's it for me, everybody. I'll see you on the next one.